Thanks, Tony, and thank you all for joining us here this morning in this amazing, amazing space. This is one of those dreams that came true. The success of the city over the last decade or so really proves that dreams do come true. We did, as Felix will tell you, and Felix is going to jump in during this presentation, but we came to hate that word potential. And, you know, I'm playing the back nine, and I had to live my whole life hearing that potential, but never really seeing it and being disappointed at this turn and that. We really put together a great team starting 10 years ago. We're in our 11th year now. And I think we've, as Tony referred to the tipping point, I think we're beyond the tipping point now. What we're going to show you is everything that's happening in the city. We can't cover everything. We have great partnerships. That's how this worked. But we're not going to be able to mention every partner. So if you're in the room and you didn't get, and we somehow overlooked you, we apologize for that in advance. I want to recognize some of those partners, though, from the political arena. We have joining us today State Representative Anthony Nolan and State Representative Dan Gajewski. Thank you both. Very, very important to have the state backing us, and we've had great support from originally the Malloy administration, but really Governor Lamont loves the city of New London, and the state has invested heavily in this city over his 2 administrations. Also, I have City Councilor Efren Dominguez here. Thank you, Efren, for coming. This is where it all begins. Our agenda today, we're going to start with municipal finances and economic anchors, and that was the first thing we had to work on. Back in 2012, our fund balance in this city, hold on to your seats, was $200,000. How we avoided getting taken over from the state, I don't know. I don't remember how we got away with it. But our fund balance today is $21 million. And that's part of the success story. We had to get our financial house in order. We had to stop raising the taxes year after year after year. It was crushing the people in the city of New London. It was perpetuating the poverty in the city of New London. There's nothing worse than the property tax system to keep people down. And the goal of all of the development, of all of our partnerships, is to give everybody in our city a fair shot at well-being. That's the goal. We want a city where people can thrive. The property tax kills that. This slide shows you the story of what we did to stop that. And it's development, it's building, but the goal is right here in this slide. Our fund balance, the credit agencies, really important. They're the ones that tell us whether we're doing the job right or not. And you can see where we went from 2013 up to 2024. And we have a ways to go, but we're going to get there. And working with the markets, we will get there. Average grand list growth, instead of raising taxes, where do we get our revenue? From development, from investment, from building our small business base. And it's working. It's working. You just got to stay within your revenues. And as you can see, we have this incredible process of reevaluating property every 5 years in Connecticut. So the numbers are a little skewed because of the reval in 2023, which did set us back. That's another whole story for a different presentation. But you can see where the mill rate has dropped considerably since 2019. So here, yes. Here's the reason for our success stories. These are our economic anchors. These are the major drivers, the big businesses in our area that we're thankful for. But always remember and focus that the goal is to build up our small businesses. Small businesses are what provide the vast majority of the job opportunities. Small businesses are what lift up the people in our community. But these are the drivers that are the foundation of our local economy. Of course, General Dynamics, I think it's up to 45, Ross might be able to say, he's in the room, I think $45 billion worth of contracts. This is driving the need to, or the market for building these multifamily apartment complexes. Of course, Yale New Haven is a major anchor here in the community. The colleges and the universities, Conn College and Mitchell College, and of course the Coast Guard Academy, and actually Coast Guard R&D, Station New London. We're a Coast Guard city, and they are an integral part of the DNA of this city. So with those anchors, we have a stable base, and it makes something like the building you're in right now possible. This was something that the community dreamed of. We had a YMCA back when I was a child. It closed in the early 80s. Deserted our city like much of our economic base, fled to the suburbs. And it's taken decades and decades to rebuild that. But the building you're in now is proof that we've come back, that we've been able to attract investment, stabilize our finances, and deliver for our community. Because here's the goal. The goal is to deliver a product like this to improve the quality of life. But I'll tell you, the story is not just that. It's also supporting those anchors that you just saw. You need a facility like this for the large businesses to attract the talent and the employees they need. They need a community that is thriving and that has amenities like a building like this. A little story, one of the former HR directors at EB, Maura Dunn, a real energetic, charging woman. She was doing the heavy lifting and the recruiting to try to get the employment pipeline going to provide the jobs that EB needed. And she sat down with Felix and I one day. We went out for coffee, and she basically said to us, now this is early. We were already doing it, but we weren't, it takes time to show the progress.
2018.
Yeah, exactly. And so, she says, you guys got to step up your game. I'm recruiting talent to this city, and I can't afford to have them get homesick and leave within a year. We have great arts and culture, the Guard, the Hygienic, all of the galleries and the artists in the city. We had a real base, and she appreciated that, but we had to pick up our game. We had to improve our infrastructure. We had to deliver a product like what you're in now to really do that. And so this has been a game changer, an immediate game changer in this community. And it's addressing disparities in health outcomes. It's given the people in this city the opportunities that they didn't have. And we're still growing. We're only a year in. And I have to recognize Silver Petrocelli for their great partnership, David Stein, in designing this facility, and Downs Constructing for helping us build it. And I was lucky to hire a project manager as an economic development director, so Felix Reyes was on top of this project from day one, and it did become his baby, and that's the beauty of it.
And today's the 1-year anniversary, so very, very proud of that. Over 3,000 members and counting, so very excited.
This is a great investment. Now, we have just completed, within the last year or so, finished, complete, renovated new projects at our high school and our middle school, and those facilities are absolutely beautiful, drop dead beautiful as this facility. It was a project 10 years in the making. Nothing happens quick, but this project was in the dream and the design stage 10 years ago, sort of parallel courses with the Coast Guard Museum. Some projects just take a long time, but we've made that investment. This is a $150 million investment in the future of our children, which is the future of our city. And we're very proud to have all of our school facilities are essentially brand new. This is an amazing investment in our city by the state of Connecticut. $300 million The wind industry has been, up to this point, a boom for our economic base in the city. The industry is facing extreme headwinds right now, but I am very, very bullish on the future of this industry. It's inevitable. I mean, it's this or brownouts, in my view. So we'll get beyond some of the hurdles that we're facing today in Washington. And this investment in the state pier is good for the state, for the region, and especially for the city of New London. We have great partners with Gateway Terminals, the operator of the pier, Connecticut Port Authority, the owner of the pier, and of course, Ørsted and their partners in the wind industry. So this is also will be a game changer. This is also the future of our city and the future of our harbor. The National Coast Guard Museum. New London will be sharing the stage as a regional tourist attraction along with Mystic. So love Mystic, but it's not going to only be about Mystic going forward. This will be the tourist anchor, one of the tourist anchors for Southeastern Connecticut, and New London will start to draw those tourists into our city to share that. And this building is going to be completed by the end of the year. So this is going to be another one of those game changers. And so proud to be a Coast Guard city, and so proud that we did achieve. It was a fight to get this museum to be built in New London. We had great backers. Like I say, this goes back 10 years. It starts with Admiral Papp when he was the commandant, Norwich native, but he had the vision of building this museum on our waterfront in the city of New London, where it belongs. And so we thank all of the folks that had the vision to establish this here, and this will be a great legacy. We've had some great investment by the federal government. The downtown Water Street parking garage has a $18 million called Reyes grant. We're going to be adding 250 parking spaces to that garage, which will help support our intermodal transportation center as well as the museum. Badly needed. You'll see that project underway within the next 12 months. This is another important partner, Mohawk Northeast. Their port development is north of the bridge in East New London. This is a nearly $20 million project. $7 million is a MARAD grant, federal grant, the Maritime Administration, to build this out. They are a marine fabricator. They support the work at EB, amongst other clients, but this is very, very exciting. It will transform East New London. It will also build up our capabilities in the port. We also have a major partner with Cross Sound Ferry and the Thames Shipyard. That driver of the marine economy here in New London, there's the ferries up there. You're all familiar with that. They also have a MARAD grant to improve their waterfront and to include another berth so they can add yet another ferry for that growing interstate commerce business. They attract tens of thousands of people to this city every day. And they also talk about the goal of taking traffic and trucks off of our overburdened interstate transportation system right here in New London. That's where it's happening. Cross Sound Ferry is doing that. This picture is really, really exciting though, because this is what's really happened over the last decade. All of those, what do you call those things, Felix?
Yeah.
That shows the investment in our downtown business district. These are the buildings or the empty parcels, because there's some urban infill there. This is what laid vacant, dormant, rotting. The historic architecture, the historic buildings. Once retail left for the Crystal Mall, which everything goes in cycles. You gotta love that, right? So what's happened to the Crystal Mall now? But the Crystal Mall really killed, New London was the retail center of the whole, all of Southeastern Connecticut. Downtown New London is where you had to go for all your big box stores, all your little businesses. It was thriving in the 50s, as was New London. And it all went downhill through the 60s and 70s. The mall was the final nail in the coffin. So that's how I live my life. With New London on the downswing. So it's really wonderful to see New London, shooting up to becoming, once again, the capital of Southeastern Connecticut. And this takes investment to have this happen. The fact that people want, developers want to invest, want to redo these buildings, they're getting a return on their investment. And that's the proof that New London's on the rebound. But all these buildings, the offices, this is where you went for your doctors, your accountants, your any professional business, your lawyers. They were all in the upper stories, and there was retail in the first stories. When the retail left and the offices all moved out to the suburbs, or to other neighborhoods in New London, the downtown just sat moribund for decades. That's all turning around. I think Felix, when we took over, there was 30-something vacant buildings.
You do such a great job. I don't need to intercede.
Yeah, so we had about 32 vacant buildings in 2018 that we counted, and currently we're under 10.
Yeah. You see the Vessel building. That's a beautiful example of urban infill. That lot was just postage stamp size. Everybody that looked at it couldn't figure out how to make the numbers work. There's no sheetrock, no plywood, no 2x4s, completely new technology. Everything is new technology. They've gotten a couple of black eyes because the building codes, the fire codes have to keep up. They have to evolve. This is 21st. We're in the 21st century. This is 21st century technology, and the way to build in the 21st century, the way to build in a city like ours. But everything's a battle. I think we're getting there. You got to fight back to people who say no. Please leave us with our sheetrock, plywood, and 2x4s. But we're not gonna be living like that in the future. And New London has. This is the first Vessel building in the state of Connecticut. There was one in Trenton, New Jersey. They are now spreading out and, with some resistance, building them throughout the state. This is one of the secrets to overcoming our housing crisis. It's an efficient building system. Everything's panelized, and it's 21st century. So we're going to zoom in on a little more of this. Back in that picture, you'll also see City Hall is included because. When we put it out to bid, we got proposals for up to $8 million to redo City Hall. We were able to do it with in-house staff working as like the project managers to organize the subcontractors. We did it for less than $4 million, $3 million paid for by the taxpayers. We bonded it, and another $1 million by tax credits from partners like Eversource providing us with, and SHPO providing us with historic tax credits. But if you haven't been in the renovated City Hall, please go there. It's a historic renovation. The building is absolutely gorgeous now. And of course, I got to mention the Chamber of Commerce. I had to pinch myself. I really don't know if I really believed the Chamber would move back into New London after also fleeing out to some cow path in Waterford. They were in a strip mall. Nothing against Waterford, by the way, but they have to be in the urban center, right? They are the chamber for Southeastern Connecticut. But they didn't just move back into New London. They moved in with a splash, an incredible investment in yet another vacant building, and now it's the thriving Innovation Center. So thanks to the Chamber for their investment in New London. This is some of the historic adaptive reuse, the Man-Waring building, and that was up through this year a dorm for Conn College. It'll just revert now to, rental, market rate apartments. They're gorgeous apartments. The Riverbank project, that's High Tide Capital. You see our partners on the bottom, Parker Benjamin, High Tide Capital, doing a lot of this. They're not exclusive. There's other developers in downtown, but they're doing a lot of the projects. Parker Benjamin did the church on Green Street. That is now residential units. They work with SHPO. These companies work with the State Office of Historic Preservation to do this right. Down on the right-hand corner, that's St. Mary's School. That's the connection. Those are supportive housing units. We're very proud of ourselves in New London. We do a lot of affordable housing, supportive housing. Some of those projects, by the way, also are the beneficiaries of the Federal Opportunity Zone program, which has been an extremely important benefit to help New London. It attracts that investment. Here's one of our great affordable housing developers, Hope. That's a picture of Marilyn Grant, who recently retired from the executive director position. They do amazing work in New London, providing home ownership opportunities, renovating derelict properties, and then selling them to new first-time home buyers. This is our other partners you'll see on the bottom, and you'll see some examples of their work. But we have Habitats just starting 3 buildings on an empty lot on Adelaide Street, 3 two-families, which will be each apartment will have 4 bedrooms, which is an inventory that we need badly. We need to provide housing for our larger families. Hope, of course, which is here. Echo, Southeastern Connecticut Land Trust. We're very proud of our track record in New London. We are approaching 28% of housing units that classify as affordable. On the right is Echoes. That's the project you'll see on Bayonet Street when you exit ShopRite. They've developed 2 beautiful buildings there. I can't remember the number of units off the top of my head.
A little over 60 units total.
Yeah, a very impactful addition to our housing market. And these are affordable units, and also, really importantly, supportive units. Units that can provide housing for clients of organizations like ARC. So folks with disabilities have places to live and support to be able to live independently. So that's important. Here's the larger multifamily projects that these get all the attention. I want to point out the docks down here, because really our first partner in this market was AR Building. They're down on the bottom. AR Building, I think it was probably around 2018 maybe, or 2017. 2017. AR is a Pittsburgh company. They flew into Groton, New London Airport. They have their corporate jet. Great company. They're self-financed, and they targeted New London. Now, up to that point, despite our efforts, Felix and I, trips to Boston, anywhere you could go to recruit builders, because we had this feeling that this can happen in New London. We should be able to put nice, beautiful apartment buildings in New London like every other city has. And we got the same story. Well, you can't get a return on your investment. They're looking at the demographic maps in downtown, the census tract downtown. The AMI downtown was like $25,000 a year. It just was scaring off everybody. This company saw the potential. They saw EB on the horizon. They saw what's happening now. They saw the housing crisis coming. They really had the foresight. As far away as Pittsburgh, they knew that this area was going to be ripe for development and investment. And so this is just one of their projects. They also did 2 buildings down on Mansfield Road. Of course, that's the beam up there on the right. What else we got there? Mansfield Road, and the Vessel Building, which we touched on before. So all of this investment that's coming into New London is allowing us to be able to, you saw the finances, we're able to not raise, we haven't raised the mill rate in a decade. but we're also been making incredible investments in our public spaces. What you see here is Fulton, in the pictures you see Fulton Park and the new Briggs Brook Park. This is East New London. This is the area where the city just shamefully just ignored that section of town. Very economically depressed. This is right where the Thames River apartments were, which was a failed attempt by the federal government to warehouse poor people. We provided new housing for all of those families, new housing opportunities, housing vouchers, so they could live like the rest of us live. And I'm very proud of that. We got rid of those buildings. And the next step was to take down the chain link fences, take down all the overgrowth invasive species. You couldn't even, prior to the last year or so, nobody could even see that there was a Briggs Brook, that there was this waterway there, that there was this beautiful open space. And we've invested $1 million connecting it with, you'll see the bridge, connecting it with Fulton Park. If you haven't driven through down State Pier Road, the end of Crystal Avenue recently, you have to go there again because we've transformed that neighborhood. We're investing in our people and providing open spaces. Here's another example, the Hempstead Street, the Freedom Trail neighborhood. There's a picture from 1987. You got some smaller pictures of the project underway, and there's a rendering of the finished park in the heart of the Freedom Trail neighborhood. And you need beautiful open spaces like this to provide for a healthy community. And we're getting it done. Now, this was a great partnership. Yale New Haven provided the funding so that we could purchase the property from Shiloh, the Shiloh congregation. We had help from Chelsea Bank. We had help from the state of Connecticut for the remediation work. So this is another example of how things get done. We are getting things done through partnering. The future really looks bright. This is that not very attractive one-story building at the corner of Union Street and State Street. It used to be a S&ET call center, then it was Frontier. High Tide, this is a High Tide capital investment. They're putting 2 stories of housing above the call center, which is now the headquarters of the Day paper. They have a beautiful, brand new, renovated office spaces there. And as John Penny will tell you, they can keep a better eye on City Hall because they're right diagonally across the street. So here's the future of this peninsula that you're on. This view is looking that way, the north end of the peninsula, actually that way,
This way, right?
the north end of the
Outside,
peninsula, right? On the other side of 1 Chelsea Place here, this is what it will look like.
It's RJ Development.
RJ Developer is the same developer that did the beam.
Yep.
They have 2 buildings planned for this peninsula. You'll see that's the parcel map. We are very excited about the future of this peninsula finally. And of course, the city was the first investor. Now this is the old Citizens Bank. Actually, the Rotary just had their installation meeting there last night, utilizing this great historic facility, and it's basically on the eve of being transformed this is a High Tide capital project. The Day paper building you'll see in the background, that is already under construction. The vision here is to transform Atlantic Street, the photo on the right, into a park that connects with Parade Plaza. So this will be an addition to our downtown, green space, open space for people to get outside. It's important for a tight urban, densely developed urban environment to have these parklets and open spaces. And we really don't have anything like that in our downtown business district, and we will in conjunction with this project.
All of Eugene O'Neill will all be reimagined in the upcoming years, which is it's quite exciting.
But take a ride down Atlantic Street right now and see what it is so that you can understand what it's going to become. Now this is my PTSD moment. I was at the Thames Club for the Rotary Luncheon this day, January. As I came out of the Thames Club and looked down State Street, walking back to City Hall, you couldn't see anything. It was just a wall of dust. That was an incredible day. This is what it will become. And they're breaking ground on this project July 7th. Now, of course, everybody mourns the loss of that church. That was a terrible blow to the city and the history of the city. But we're going to make the best of it. This building is an echo project. It'll house across the economic spectrum. There'll be affordable units, supportive units, and there'll be market rate units in this building. This I'm really excited about. You'll see a few storyboards with this. Spinnaker is the latest developer, top notch, does amazingly beautiful work. We're going to transform this blighted, abandoned lumber company that is on both sides of Trumbull Street. Look at this waterfront. This is like a gorgeous waterfront development. We're not trying to become anything but New London, but this is the future of New London. People will associate New London with a beautiful waterfront vista like this, and it'll be providing great housing opportunities. It will also include 10% affordable.
Between 10 and 20% affordable housing.
10 and 20%, that's still being negotiated, but what it opens up areas to the public once again that are not open to the public now. So that south side of Shores Cove is going to be a public promenade that anybody can walk down to. In fact, the whole development, it's not going to be a gated community or anything. It's all going to be open to the public. They're going to transform Trumbull Street, and as you can see, that rendering is just gorgeous. So that right now is going through the planning and zoning process. These are things, when you think of the future and the pipeline, Spinnaker's been working on this project quietly behind the scenes for 1.5 to 2 years. They had to assemble 5 separately owned parcels in order to do this. It's been an incredible amount of work to get to this point. So they right now are at the stage of getting a site plan approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. But this is a model that works. Having the private market take the lead. You compare this to the model 25 years ago here, where we sit on this peninsula, where the government stepped in. The government made a $100 million investment, acquiring all the properties, remediating the properties, and building the infrastructure. And then it just sat for 20 years. And now you go forward 20 years, the floodplains have changed. The infrastructure is below the floodplains. The remediation is not up to today's standard. So all the projects we are attracting today finally to this peninsula still have to rearrange, still have to raise the infrastructure. They have to do more remediation to the properties. And we haven't gotten any return on that investment for 25 years. This project, on the other hand, is being led by private developers, and they're doing the investment. Then they come to the city and they say, here's what we need from you in order to get this done. This is another great opportunity.
When we look at economic future outlook, we always look at properties like this one's for sale. What can that property be, right? As we start to fill out the city of New London, real estate becomes very minimal and the opportunities start to dwindle. But we would like to remind people that redevelopment is still real and there's some good opportunities in New London. So I just want to give you a before and after of what that could be like in the future, where more vibrancy, different architecture, buildings, and usage can fit in our downtown, going from this to something like that.
That is on the horizon. by the way. That will happen, just like everything else has happened. When I first did, I think, my first State of New London with the Chamber, there was a lot of hopes, dreams, and we believed, but I don't know how many people in the audience believed it was going to happen. But I don't think we have to sell any of you today on what New London can get done. We're no longer a city of potential. We're really a city that's getting it done. Thanks to our partnerships.